Here!
It was no good. The Sorcerer had me cornered. I had just been passing through town. Our eyes happened to meet, and he swiftly offered me a unique fruit.
It's good. Try it.
I obliged, and the moment I finished eating, he came at me.
That fruit's not cheap, you know.
It was a scam. The man demanded a fortune, enough for 3 modest castles.
If you can't pay, you'll have to work off your debt.
He persisted 3 days and nights. I lost the battle of wills. And so I ended up helping the Sorcerer with his work. In the world of men, wealth and power serve to measure one's worth. Only sorcerers have their own ways of judging people. We risk our lives daily in fierce combat. For many sorcerers, wealth is an abstraction. This man was an exception. I'd never seen a sorcerer so obsessed with counting beans.
Keep your nose to the grindstone till you're paid off.
He laughed as he spoke, revealing his shiny gold teeth. I could only sigh. Tux. I nearly fell over when I heard his name. He was infamous. He targeted monsters driven by lust for money, and was known for demanding the greatest share of the spoils, leaving his allies short-changed. Carnatux continued to badger me about my debt.
Better pay quick before the interest gouges you.
I accompanied this sorcerer on a short trip in order to pay off my debt. He cared about nothing other than wealth.
No fortune is ever enough.
We two are both sorcerers. A sorcerer worth his salt can make a small fortune. It just depends how low he is willing to stoop. But still, he was not satisfied.
It's not enough, not even close.
The question is, what fueled his insatiable lust for wealth? We hid in the shadows, observing. We spotted our target.
A pretty impressive beast, eh?
Some people wield sorcery to satiate their lust for wealth, blindly melding with random gold trinkets to grotesque ends. Countless people have suffered this fate, transforming into monsters. We faced one such creature then. Similar ones scattered the land. They are sometimes called slum slime.
We're in the money today!
Karnataks cracked a conniving smile and set after the monster.
They say money isn't everything. Well, they're wrong. Life's tough. You can't sell it. I don't want it. I can feel it in my bones. This one was drowning in debt.
Carnatux knew our target. He knew this avarice slime when he was still human, and how he devolved to this state. He couldn't bear to see his wife and children in poverty. He loved his family and thought that money would bring them happiness. But his love soon transformed into unbridled greed. Carnatux reflected plaintively.
It is the curse of wealth. Greed could drive a man mad. The world can do without more greedy wretches like me.
He did what he had to do, but not what I expected. Carnatux told me that we had one more job to do.
Deliver the contractor the news.
Now I realized we were hired guns. I had no choice but to follow.
The poorer areas produce more than their fair share of monsters.
It was an old story. A person facing difficult circumstances was easily seduced by material greed.
If we were all rich, there would be no monsters.
This was not the sort of thing I expected to hear from him. I was now very curious. Just what kind of a place were we destined for? We came upon it, a town of ruin, not shown on any map. A family greeted Carnatux. A child and its mother. The child held a fruit that I had become recently familiar with. The fruit that Carnatux tricked me into eating when we first met. He patted the child on the head as he spoke.
Don't worry. Your father'll be back before long.
This family was our contractor. The family of the man who had become the avaricious slime. Carnatux saved him because his family had requested it. And when he did, the father could come home. Carnatux gave the family our entire stash of valuables. All the gold and trinkets that we had pirated.
This is repayment for the fruit. This man ate it.
Helping the poor. It was preventative, so that perhaps the next monster would never be. One man's way of ridding the world of monsters. I'm sure he is still out there, digging for gold.
If we were all rich, there would be no monsters.
And he is absolutely right. There's been a change with the merchant Khan attacks. Some odd jobs are available now.
We're partners for this ordeal, it seems.
Her name was Sympatha. Suddenly, I had a partner again, and we were tasked with chasing monsters. The problem was, it reminded me of the ordeal. The Sorcerer's ordeal, which ended in my sacrificing Sortiara. And once again, the whims of fate have partnered me with a woman. But this ordeal was different, in one key respect. This time we don't kill, we save. This ordeal forces us to break the Sorcerer's code. We were blocked by a herd of monsters. Sympatha spoke.
Our dedication to mercy is already being tested.
Sympatha must really want to earn high marks on this. We forged ahead, without resting. Sanctuarium was a secret society. The enigmatic group's mission was to save any and all monsters. Their code was never kill friends, never kill monsters. They rejected sacrifice and served to save all forms of life. Sanctuarium attracts some of the most idiosyncratic sorcerers among us, and is rumored to be rapidly expanding its ranks. A long line of sorcerers wait for their chance to take the ordeal offered by Sanctuarium. Sympatha and I were two such people. While we were resting, Sympatha pulled out a book.
This is by Lenixian. Have you read it?
Lenixian was the leader of Sanctuarium. Sympatha decided to join Sanctuarium after reading Lenixian's manifesto. Sympatha had a close friend, a man that she fully trusted. She'd been wounded in battle. Facing the beast, her friend panicked and tried to sacrifice her. Sympatha barely escaped with her life, and has since questioned the way of the Sorcerer.
What about you? Why join Sanctuarium?
Without answering, I rose to my feet, ready for battle. We were surrounded by monsters.
I shall save this impure world. Monsters, too, deserve compassion. Don't forfeit your life. You have people to save. We must retreat. Don't forfeit your life. You have people to save. Raging beast is at bay. This beast! You have people to save. We must retreat. We must retreat.
Save me. Find you. Be so sad.
All was quiet again. We took turns on lookout duty. One kept watch, the other rested. While Sympatha was on guard, I thumbed the copy of the book by Nixion that she had lent me. Pages devoted to the denunciation of the foul practice of sacrificial absorption. Save men and monsters alike. Reject the practice of sacrifice and consign it to our past. Let us build a utopia, excluding all tarnished, undeserving souls. I closed the book, packing it away. The concept seemed oversimplified and extreme. Idealism has its place, but something felt strange. Sanctuarium was created by Nixion. Nixion openly broke the Sorcerer's code. He is viewed as a monster by sorcerers. Edicts have circulated that order his assassination. Despite his widespread infamy, he has proven elusive, and even his physical appearance is unknown. Until now. I caught rumor of an ordeal being held by Sanctuarium. If I can get inside, arranging to meet Linuxian would be easy. My goal is to assassinate Linuxian. Sympather stirred, bringing me back to the real world. Before long, we faced monsters again. After she was betrayed by her only friend, she lost the ability to trust. Sympather will tell you, humans are tarnished. Under the aegis of Linuxian, Sanctuarium will cleanse the world of human impurities. Sympather tells me that she has chosen to dedicate her very life to this higher calling.
You must feel the same, I think.
Sympather assumed that we were kindred spirits. We were different as night and day. I had sacrificed Sortiara as a stepping stone. Things have never been the same. If Sortiara had lived on, would she be like Sympather? We now finally faced our target. If we could save this creature, then we would pass the ordeal. The air was thick with a sinister haze. Sympather looked around, but did not think to look behind. The beast lurched from the shadows and struck Sympather into the air. The great beast turned on me next. Near death, Sympather's eyes met mine.
I don't want you to die.
It was permission to absorb her in sacrifice.
Take my life, so that you may keep yours.
I replied without thought. I cannot. Sympather reminded me of Sortiara. That had been an experience that I could not repeat.
This I will be saved.
Such an ugly death. Such an ugly death.
I struggled to catch my breath, and Sympatha nonchalantly rose to her feet and dusted herself off.
You pass.
It was evident that her injuries were just scratches. Now it made sense. I was being tested. Sympatha had been acting all along. Sympatha. Otherwise known as Lenixian, leader of Sanctuarium. She had come out to take part in the ordeal, to size up the new initiates for herself. By not resorting to sacrifice, I passed the test.
Well, what now? Aren't you going to kill me?
She saw right through me. She told me that she faces assassins on a regular basis. I shook my head. Enough. This was enough. I couldn't kill her anymore. From that moment, she always made me think of Sortiara.
You're a strange one. I thought you'd come here for me.
She smiled as she said it, the first natural smile that I'd seen.
You know, I think I like you.
Sanctuarium's leader was born to play her role. I felt it in the gentleness of her smile as it soothed my weary body.
We will speak again someday, as friends who journeyed together.
The journal's author was an Avalon sorcerer. That was the one constant. The journal demonstrates this fact. But don't forget, I am a book. I could change the sorcerer's affiliation. If you want, I could change Avalon to some other organization. Perhaps you ought to ask yourself, what do you really believe? Should you see a crimson-cowled girl bearing an apple, do not run. It wouldn't help. You are already caught in her snare. So goes the tale of the sorcerer known as Red Hood. If it is true, I fear nothing can save me now.
Hey, do a girl a favor.
She approached me in a tavern. By nature, sorcerers favor shadows and avoid drawing undue attention. Flaming crimson garb like hers is a sight rarely seen.
You're not allowed to refuse. You know who I am, yes?
True to the legends, she was a specialist in illusion. She assured me I was already a prisoner to her handiwork.
Then you know what to expect if you don't stay on my good side.
And so I was half threatened, half dragged away from a perfectly good pint. Was it magic or lust? Perhaps it was her silver tongue. Everyone agreed she made her way by bewitching others. Even veteran sorcerers were said to be defenseless against her illusions. More than anything, it was the fact that she became a monster that sealed her poor reputation. They say she drained victims' lives to fuel her own, thereby ensuring she'd live forever. A chilling story. Except the girl standing before me now seemed anything but a monster. For her to be as old as the legends and look as young as she does is monstrous enough.
Drop those silly ideas now. You're my dog, like it or not.
She lazily rolled an apple about in her hand as she spoke. It was clear she was onto something, chasing a tip. Helping her in this search was the only way to break free of her illusory chains.
So, is it Grimm you're after too?
The Order of Grimm. The mysterious cult was still new, but growing at a wildfire's pace. It's rumored the tavern where we'd met was a gathering place for its membership.
Well, it seems we share a goal.
Intelligence on the cult fetches a high price from the agents of Avalon. Perhaps the promise of that reward is what drives her current search. Here follows Grimm's tale. Once there lived a prophet, Grimm. Those who took his word for truth banded together, and a society was born. Red leaned in, eager for any word of Grimm I'd heard. The next moment, her expression changed. A monster on the road ahead. Cold sweat trickled down my back. My body sensed its strength. Immediately, Red sprang into action. I had scarcely exhaled by the time she was gone. Vanished. I'd have been a fool to expect any different. This was the infamous Red Hood. Using others was her speciality.
I'm not satisfied yet.
Good boy. Now heal. We've a long way to go yet.
She reappeared the moment danger had passed, nibbling at her apple without a hint of guilt.
Fancy sharing information? We both stand to benefit.
I told her all I'd learned. Central to Grimm's revelations was the eternal recursion. He claimed the world had come and gone and been made new again, time after time. The gods of creation are capricious things and never satisfied for long. Druid or Romulus, these gods cared nothing for the struggles of man. The Order of Grimm rejected both of them outright. They claim neutrality is man's sole means of standing against the cruel apathy of those gods. As I finished speaking, I looked to her, or to the void where she had stood moments earlier. I cursed my naivety, for I knew she was a shameless cheat. Yet I'd blithely handed over precious intelligence for nothing. She'll feast for weeks, while my big mouth goes empty. It took me 3 days to track her down.
You sniffed me out.
She started.
I already sold that tidbit about Grimm, by the by.
She hadn't yet realized. I imagine she's unaccustomed to being played after all. Intelligence on Grimm was only ever a secondary concern of mine.
Wait a minute. It was me you were after?
It was. I had gone to that tavern hunting for the infamous Red Hood. I needed a way to break this illusion. Not any spell Red Hood had placed me under. But the visions from my own right arm. As an expert in illusions, perhaps she could break the curse Sortiara left me.
Don't expect too much. I'm not the legend rumors make me out to be.
A roar echoed out from somewhere. I could feel the beast was close. And soon enough, Red was gone. Her parting words hung in the air.
Don my cap approach any fool saying, "You're under my spell," and watch them jump a mile. Legendary illusions, more the illusions of legends in truth. Didn't you jump though?
There was no end to them. For each fiend I slew, 2 more sprang up. Hours passed. My sense of time dulled as my consciousness faded.
I'd feel guilty if you died here. Waste of a good dog.
I turned and saw her standing there. She raised her apple high and spoke in a whisper. The monsters fell in a chorus of thuds, curiously now sound asleep. At her feet lay the fragments of the shattered apple. A common sorcerer, average at best. Her words, not mine. Only when using an apple shade as the sacrifice was she able to craft a grand illusion. She also confessed the Red Hood of legend, master of illusion turned monster, was her grandmother. She told me she was the 3rd of her name. From the day she took up her predecessor's mantle, everyone shrank and kept their distance. She'd begged entry into Avalon, but they turned her away for being of a monster's bloodline.
You're quite odd, you know.
She watched my face as she spoke, eyes filled with curiosity. I was the first, it seemed, to try and deal with the legendary Red Hood.
Those visions there, from your right arm, they're far beyond me. But not Gran.
Had she put aside the cowl and the name, she'd have had no trouble finding acceptance. But she chose to remain the 3rd Red Hood. Why should she be the one to bend? Who were they to judge her on name and clothes alone? She'd refused to buckle to the prejudiced stares of strangers.
Semelia. That's my real name.
If true, this is the first time she's spoken about herself. The first time she's given her name. To the masses, Red Hood was name enough.
That there is Gran. It's my first time seeing her as well.
It was a monster, no question. The original Red Hood. Semelia's grandmother. We had planned well in advance. First, we had to save old Gran. I would ask if she had the knowledge I sought, and then her fate would be left to Semelia.
So, starting to feel less of a pet and more of a partner? Spot?
She'd been condemned to a life of abuse, and these were her words.
We're just like partners now.
No matter the question asked, the old woman's mumblings were unintelligible. Such is the price of immortality, any shred of normality gone. I would get no information from her. The rest was in Semelia's hands. That was the deal. She struggled clearly, to save or to sacrifice. Blood or no, the girl couldn't hide her muddled feelings for the crone. It was because she was blood that the woman had caused her such woe. I couldn't help but speak up. You waver! Stay your hand! Semelia hadn't even been allowed to take Avalon's ordeal. So she had no way of knowing. Sacrificing one with whom you share a strong bond bears a price. The scars left upon the soul are deeper than she could know.
You don't know what I...
She drew a deep breath, then exhaled. Her wry smile returned.
But no matter. You're right. Thank you.
An awkward line from her, spoken through a hesitant smile. It was a glimpse of Semelia the girl, not Red Hood the legend.
Well, well. No one's ever told the terrible Red Hood what to do before.
She spun the apple as she walked away, glancing back at me.
I'll repay this kindness. You have my word, as a member of Grimm.
I really should have known. For I knew the tavern where we met was a favored haunt for their numbers.
Consider this my thanks.
A plume of white smoke rose from behind her. It engulfed the area in an instant. My mind felt bathed in white. I collapsed into the sensation. A strange voice echoed from nowhere in particular. For a suitable price, your wish will be granted. A white vessel. Hung in the air before me, a relic to grant one's any desire. And the source of countless monsters consumed by them. The sacred chalice. The woman in your arm, is she to be your wish? It spoke as if it knew all my heart's desires. An image flashed before my eyes. Her face, as I'd last seen it. If you would see her again, make your sacrifice. Offer up the Red Girl and...
will sacrificing me make your wish come true? I'd finally made a friend. They hated me just for my dressed in red. People hated me all the more for acting alone. You befriended me, even though I'm the Red Hood. Is this what happens when you make friends? It's horrible to fight someone important to you.
My anger boiled over. I bellowed that her joke was in poor taste.
Oops. Then you knew?
Yes, I knew. The fractured apple at her feet betrayed her illusion. An apple shade, to be exact.
I'm sorry. She really meant a lot to you, didn't she?
She seemed genuinely contrite.
Please don't be cross. I had to test you.
Grimm asks one thing of the new. The fortitude to rely on no god.
You passed. You resisted the illusion. You're perfect for Grimm.
I suppose I should have been flattered, but I declined. I have no interest in Grimm's words, nor any prophecy of eternal recursion. Moreover, she'd made a mistake. Had it been the true chalice, I'm not sure I could have denied it. The promise of seeing her again may prove too tempting.
Is a dead woman really so dear to you still?
I raised my right arm in response. She isn't dead. Not to me. She speaks to me still, from within my arm. And I let her words guide me, spurring me onward. My burden, my karma. The third Red Hood wore a pout on her lips.
Really? It's hardly fair someone should be immune to the Red Hood's wiles.
Her cowl traced a bright red arc as she turned to leave.
I suppose that means I need practice. Next time, though, just you wait.
She swore to avenge her pride one day, a broad grin on her face.
A change has occurred on one of the pages. Have a look. You can now relive a pact. Rewrite your affiliation to experience quests as a member of another group. But remember, the author of this journal will always be a Sorcerer of Avalon. You can change the Sorcerer's affiliation, but it won't change the Sorcerer's life. These tumultuous tales can't be rewritten completely. So, keep that in mind.